Hi, hello, it's me again. Haven't seen me for a while. Wait, is that a sword? And a shield? Yes it is, I have a sword and a shield now, and I'm learning to use them. But Mark, I thought you were a stormtrooper now. I am, but a person could be more than one thing. This is my other thing. Where's your armor? Don't people with swords usually wear armor? I can't afford it right now, because I spent all my money on this armor. By the way, my speaker for the armor finally arrived, so that's finished now, yay! Anyway, enough about me, let's get back to me. Not this me, but that me, the one waving the sword around like an absolute crackhead. So here's the deal, I just started learning this a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know the proper channels to learn this with. For now, I've simply found this YouTuber who makes videos of solo drills and sparring sessions. Since I don't have a partner to train with, I simply watch the solo drills and copy the motions in each video, and this is the result. My typical day of sword practice consists of a 30-minute session, when it's dry, which takes place in my backyard, hence why it's dry. I set up my phone to play one of these videos on loop for roughly half that time so I can get the hang of it and refer back to the video to see if I'm doing it correctly. I then record myself doing those motions so I can review them. I also show them to my friends because I think it's funny. I mean, look at this guy, what is he wearing? He's such a huge dork. And I am. As well as learning the moves and combos on screen, I also try and mix and match them to make new combos. I also sometimes improvise my own moves to add to the selection. Some of these stick, and some of these look like this, and they go away, never to return. So the sword I've had for a couple weeks, that is, it's only a training sword. You can get it from ColdSteel along with some real weapons. I also have a display sword that used to belong to my father, rest in peace, and I plan to purchase a battle ready sword when I can afford it, along with some armor, neither of which I can at the moment. The shield, however, I only got a couple days ago. It was made from commission by a company called ShieldsPlus, and they were even kind enough to let me submit a custom design that they painted for me. The design's meant to represent all four parts of the United Kingdom, which is my home. The lion represents England, the unicorn is Scotland, the elk is Ireland, though they don't have an official national animal, this one seems to be the most agreed upon, and the dragon is obviously Wales since it's on their flag even to this day. I like to think of the shield as a representation of myself, as I have blood from all four countries, but mostly England since it's the best one. Don't at me, you know it's true. So since getting the shield, I will start the session with just the sword as it's lighter and most of these solo drills are intended for just a sword. After getting the hang of it, I then equip the shield and see how well it translates. As you'll see, it can really throw you off once you add the shield to the equation, as not only does it take up a lot of space, but you now have to focus on two things at once. You have to focus on using the sword to attack, as well as keeping the shield in front of you to protect yourself, and sometimes moving it out of the way to make room for your sword strikes. This wouldn't be as big a problem with a buckler, as they're very small and so they basically never get in the way. I however got a heater shield, as they can protect much more of your body, they're good against arrows, and they look way cooler. I mean, look at the thing. So that's the gist of it. Watch the video, copy it, add the shield, and chain various moves together, throwing in a couple I made up myself. Just for fun, and to humiliate myself, here are a few of the moves I made up. The dodge is very basic. You move out of the way of an attack, self-explanatory. Most times I'll do it to the side, but occasionally you can also do it to retreat a bit. The thrust is a very basic but important move that you learn, especially for European swords, as the reach of the blade is one of its main advantages. So I made up with the twin thrust, where you thrust twice in rapid succession. Sometimes you can throw in a dodge for good measure, but most times you just do the thrusts, and you can really get into their space and throw them off their guard. The Vertical Cyclone is a fancy name I came up with for the childhood sibling fight classic, the Windmill Arm. This is done more so to reposition the blade to a forward guard than it is meant to attack, but you can easily get in a cheeky slash if you're close enough to your opponent when you do it. The trick is to start off the swing and then let your arm go limp and you let the weight of the blade do most of the work. By far the stupidest move I came up with is the Horizontal Cyclone. You start with a horizontal slash and continue the motion into a 360-degree spin. Do not do this in a real fight. The last thing you want to do is turn your back to your opponent, even for a split second. Not to mention the fact that it completely defeats the purpose of having a shield if you're using one. The only situation where you might want to do this is if you notice there's a second opponent behind you, as it lets them know that you know they're there, which might discourage them, but that is a huge maybe. Ideally, you'd just leg it. You're not winning a 2v1 unless your name is Curtis. If running isn't an option, ideally you want to reposition yourself so that both opponents are on the same side, so you only need to focus on one direction. But again, just run if you can. The fake out can be good to sprinkle in every now and then in moderation, simply lunging forward very slightly and stomping the ground. This might lead your opponent to retaliate a move that they think is coming, which of course never does, which then opens them up for your own strike while they're off balance or surprised. My favourite move, and the one I love to use whenever possible when playing For Honor, is the Shield Bash. As the name implies, you simply put your shield in front of you and charge right into the enemy like a battering ram. This can achieve multiple things. The most obvious is the potential to knock your opponent over off their feet, leaving them extremely vulnerable to a thrust or a slash. If you don't knock them over, they're still taking a lot of force, which has the potential to damage them and affect their ability to fight. It can also intimidate the enemy because of how inherently aggressive the movement is. And most of all, it's just fun to be a dick and barge people in a fight, especially if this happens.
Oh, yes! Did you see that? That was beautiful.
The Shield Slap is another move that has you using your shield in an offensive way. You essentially backhand slap the enemy with your shield, usually to knock the sword away and expose them to your own thrust or slash. This move is risky, however, as it also leaves you open since your shield is no longer in front of you. So if you do use it, make sure your sword is ready so that you can either use it to block or simply strike them first before they have a chance to do the same. As you can guess from the Shield Bash, the footage I used, and the fact that I even own a sword and shield, yes, I did fall down this rabbit hole thanks to For Honor. It's just too fun, and I also blame the Conqueror class, my main, for the shield in particular, as shield bashing is hilarious. By the way, Ubisoft, if you even think about wiping my account and progress on For Honor because I didn't log in for 30 days, I can't promise that I won't visit your HQ when I get my arming sword. Is that a threat? For legal reasons, no. I'd rather not go to prison. The guys at the UK garrison might not like that and kick me out. Also, prison is lame. People there are scary and rapey, and I don't like that, especially as a straight guy. But enough about all that, I've said enough. So I'll leave you now to watch my most recent practice clip. See ya. Okay, the video's over. Go home now. Also, watch Trooper Stranded Part 1. It's on the channel and I worked very hard on it. Bye.